As a company, you can have business relations that are customers and vendors at the same time. So you're selling to them, but you're also purchasing from them. So in those cases, it could be useful that you can check the customer and the vendor balance from the same place. Let's have a look at how we can do this in Business Central. And I already prepared an example. So if I go to customers, you can see that I have customer 50,000 Rally Cloud. And if I go to vendors, that I have a vendor with the same name and also the same number. So if I open now the vendor card, you can see here the balance. So this is my vendor balance. So this is the amount due. But you can also see here the field balance as customer. And from the customer card, you can check the same. So if I go to customers, and if I open Rally Cloud, so customer 50,000, you can see here the balance. So this is the customer balance. And you can also see the balance as vendor. So the amount that we need to pay to that company being a vendor. Now, how can we achieve this? Because there should be some kind of a link between the customer and the vendor, and indeed there is. And in this case, it's the contact. So the customer and the vendor should have the same contact. So if I click here on Process Contact, you can see here that the contact for customer 50,000 is Rally Cloud, and for the vendor, it's the same. Now, if you're creating everything from scratch, it's quite easy to achieve this. So let me show you, and I will start with creating a contact. So I will search for contacts. So I will create a new contact. So let's assign a number, and the contact name is, for example, MS Learn. It's a company, and I will keep this very simple because the most important here for this function is that we now create a customer and a vendor of this contact. And as you might know, this is something that we can do by going to Actions, Functions, and then create as customer. So now we have the customer, and that we do the same Actions, Functions, create as vendor. And there we go. So now we also have a vendor for this contact. And if we now start posting to the customer or the vendor, you will see that from the customer card for customer MS Learn, we can check the vendor balance for MS Learn. At this moment, nothing has been posted yet, so the amounts are 0. But because they have the same contact, you will be able to check the vendor balance on the customer card and the customer balance on the vendor card. Now, suppose that you want to do this for existing customers and vendors that don't have the same contact. So, and that's basically what I also did with Rally Cloud when preparing this demonstration. So basically what you need to do is remove the business relation from one of the contacts for the customer and the vendor, and then assign another customer and vendor. Now, suppose that I would like to do this with School of Fine Art, which is customer 30,000, and I want to link it to the same contact as vendor 30,000, which has a different name, but that's not really important at this moment. So like I just said, of one of these contacts, I need to remove the business relation so that I can assign the vendor number to the other contact. Might seem a bit complicated, but let's go ahead and have a look at how we can do this. So you can start from the customer or the vendor and then go to the contact. So I will click here on Process Contact. You can, of course, also go directly to the contact. That's quite obvious. Next, I will go to Related, Contact, Company, Business Relations. And you see that there is a business relation of the type vendor, so linked to vendor 30,000. And let's go ahead and delete this. So I will delete the business relation. All right, there we go. So this now means that this vendor is not linked to a contact anymore. You can see this here by looking at the notification. so that I can now link it to another contact. So you cannot directly link a customer or a vendor to another contact when it's still linked with the original contact. So first you have to remove this, like I just did. But now I could go to the contact of customer 30,000. So I will go to customer 30,000 at the School of Fine Art. So let's go to contact. So in this contact already has a business relation of type customer, and now I would like to assign vendor 30,000 to this contact. So I can do this by clicking on actions, functions, link with existing. So I will not need to create a new one because we already have a vendor. So I will link with an existing vendor. And in this case, this is vendor 30,000. So there we go. And if I now open the customer or the vendor card of one of these two, I can check the other balance. So I'm opening the customer card, and you can now see here the balance at vendor. So even if your customers and vendors have an existing contact that is different, you could still apply this workaround to link them to the same contact so that you can check the vendor and the customer balance of one and the same business relation.